Hope is the quiet force that keeps a person moving when every reason to stop has already presented itself. For the Stoics, hope is not a passive wish for good fortune, but an active commitment to seeing life's difficulties as temporary and surmountable. It is the determination to meet hardship with reason, to meet pain with dignity, and to meet uncertainty with a steady mind. When hope is aligned with action, it becomes a stabilizing anchor in the most turbulent times. In the Stoic sense, hope is built on the understanding that no situation is beyond the influence of your mind's response. You cannot always choose your circumstances, but you can choose how you meet them. This lecture is a journey through 10 principles, each revealing a way to strengthen hope so it does not waver when trials come. These are not abstract ideals, but practical disciplines that can be woven into everyday life. Let's begin. Chapter 1. Understanding Hope in the Stoic Mind. The Stoics defined hope as a disciplined alignment of the will toward what is achievable through reason and virtue. It is a clear-eyed state of mind that sees the world as it is yet chooses to direct energy toward what can be shaped or improved. It is not based on wishful thinking, but on the understanding that your own actions and responses remain fully within your control. It is the conviction that no matter what unfolds, you can preserve your composure, dignity, and moral clarity. Marcus Aurelius spoke of the importance of keeping the mind in balance, neither collapsing into despair nor allowing it to swell into reckless expectation. This deliberate steadiness gives hope a durable foundation, one that can withstand both difficulty and change. To grasp hope in this way, it is necessary to let go of a rigid attachment to fixed and predetermined outcomes. When hope is confined to achieving a single specific result, it becomes fragile, relying on factors that are often shaped by chance, the actions of others, and events far beyond your personal control. This makes it vulnerable to collapse when circumstances shift. A more resilient approach is to direct your energy toward cultivating the internal resources that allow you to act with clarity, discipline, and integrity in every situation you encounter. This form of hope is anchored in your choices, strengthened by your consistent practice of self-mastery, and preserved through the conscious alignment of your thoughts and actions with enduring principles. It is a form of hope that does not fade when difficulties lengthen or when success arrives more slowly than expected, because it is sustained by the unshakable foundation you have built within yourself. This hope gains strength each time you make the conscious decision to respond to provocation with measured patience, to stand with courage in moments when fear presses in, or to apply careful reasoning when the easier path is to react without thought. These moments are more than isolated decisions. They become part of a personal archive of endurance, an internal record that shows, without exaggeration, how you have met and managed challenges before. Over time, this archive serves as a stabilizing force in uncertain situations. It offers direct, lived evidence that you have faced pressure and difficulty in the past and retained both your composure and your integrity. This repeated proof builds trust in your own capacity, reinforcing the understanding that you can navigate adversity again. This growth is cumulative. Each act of patience, each measured display of courage, and each choice to think clearly under strain strengthens the foundation of your resilience. They become reference points you can revisit mentally when doubt appears. By recalling specific instances where you acted with control and clarity, you remind yourself that hope is not a vague feeling. It is a skill you have actively built through disciplined action. A reliable way to deepen this practice is through structured daily reflection. Begin each morning by identifying one potential challenge you might face. This could be a critical decision at work, a conversation that demands emotional steadiness, or a situation with uncertain outcomes that will require adaptability. Record the challenge in detail and then outline the specific way you intend to face it, perhaps by remaining patient regardless of the pace of events, by showing courage in the presence of risk, or by keeping your reasoning clear despite external pressure. This step functions as a mental rehearsal, preparing you to meet the moment with composure when it arrives. At the end of the day, set aside time to evaluate your actions. Review the moments when you stayed on course, the moments when you drifted from your intention, and what each taught you about your current level of control. This process is most effective when done consistently. The ongoing cycle of preparation in the morning and review in the evening forges a strong connection between hope and purposeful action. Over time, this transforms hope from a temporary emotion into a cultivated state of resilience that becomes more reliable with each repetition of the practice. Chapter 2. Anchoring Hope in Virtue. The Stoics placed virtue at the center of life and regarded it as the most stable foundation on which to build lasting hope. Courage, justice, temperance, and wisdom were not abstract ideals, but practical guides for daily living. Each virtue shapes the way a person thinks, speaks, and acts, and when hope is grounded in these qualities rather than in external rewards or shifting circumstances, it becomes more resilient. This kind of hope cannot be taken away by events beyond your influence because it does not rely on the changeable outcomes of fortune. Even in times of loss or hardship, you can preserve the ability to live by your principles and to meet each day with dignity. Anchoring hope in virtue requires defining success by the consistency and quality of your own conduct, rather than by external gains, recognition, or outcomes that depend on forces outside your control. This perspective demands a deliberate shift in how you evaluate yourself. Measuring your life against standards such as integrity, honesty, fairness, moral courage, and self-control ensures that hope remains steady even when external conditions are unstable or hostile. These virtues are not abstract ideals, but practical benchmarks you can act upon daily. Acting with integrity means ensuring that your actions match your values even when the choice is costly or inconvenient. Speaking with honesty cultivates trust both within yourself and in your relationships with others. Maintaining fairness in your dealings safeguards your sense of justice and prevents you from compromising your moral ground. Choosing moral courage over comfort prepares you to stand firm in difficult situations. Each of these actions strengthens the foundation on which hope rests, because they affirm that your value is derived from your own conduct, not from fluctuating circumstances. The world may bring setbacks, but your character, shaped and fortified through deliberate practice, stays intact. This mindset transforms each day into a practical arena for reinforcing the qualities that guide your decisions, uphold your dignity, and deepen your respect for yourself. To develop this habit in a consistent and structured way, begin each morning by creating a virtue-based intention with clear and specific terms. Avoid vague goals. Define exactly how you will act when certain situations arise. This could involve committing to patience when someone provokes you, selecting deliberate and measured words when faced with emotionally charged discussions, or ensuring impartiality and fairness when making decisions that affect others. The act of writing this intention down is important. Recording it in a journal or keeping it on a small card you can carry ensures that the commitment stays present in your awareness throughout the day. Revisit it during breaks or at moments when your resolve is tested, using it as both a guide and a reminder. When you follow through on these commitments, you prove to yourself in a direct and measurable way that you can maintain your chosen standards under varied conditions. This strengthens both your sense of control over your actions and your confidence in your ability to live by your principles regardless of external challenges. Each completed intention becomes another layer in the structure of your resilience, reinforcing the link between your choices and your ability to maintain hope. Over time, this process forms a self-sustaining cycle. Intention leads to action, action reinforces trust in your capacity, and that trust strengthens hope. Through repetition, you create a durable inner framework where hope is deeply rooted in the steady practice of living according to virtue. In this way, hope becomes less an emotion subject to change and more a stable quality of character that endures across all circumstances. When you follow through on these commitments, you provide yourself with clear, concrete proof that you can uphold the standards you have set, even when conditions vary or pressures increase. This repeated evidence builds a strong sense of control over your own actions. It confirms that your choices are guided by deliberate intention rather than impulse or external influence. The consistent act of meeting these commitments reinforces your trust in your own capacity to live by your principles, regardless of what challenges may arise. With each instance of follow-through, you increase your confidence in your ability to act with integrity in unfamiliar, complex, or high-pressure situations. Every completed intention becomes a solid building block in the structure of your resilience. Over time, these blocks form a foundation that is not easily shaken. They create a dependable link between the actions you choose each day and your ability to sustain hope during moments of uncertainty or adversity. You begin to recognize patterns. Intention leads to focused action. That action strengthens trust in your own capacity, and that trust naturally strengthens hope. This cycle becomes self-sustaining, requiring less conscious effort as it grows, because each new success adds weight to your confidence and stability. Through deliberate repetition, this process gradually shapes a durable internal framework. This framework supports you in remaining grounded and purposeful, even in environments marked by change or unpredictability. Hope in this form is not dependent on temporary feelings or favorable circumstances. It becomes a steady quality of character, supported by evidence from your own lived experience. It is the product of discipline, consistent effort, and a commitment to align your daily actions with enduring values. As the cycle continues, hope becomes a constant presence, an internal strength that carries forward into every situation you encounter, giving you the ability to approach life with both steadiness and clarity. Chapter 3. Seeing obstacles as training. The Stoics viewed obstacles as essential and irreplaceable conditions for growth. Challenges test, shape, and refine your character in ways that comfort never could, much like resistance strengthens an athlete's muscles and discipline sharpens their skill. Epictetus compared life's trials to a wrestling match. Without an opponent to push against, skill remains undeveloped and potential remains dormant. By deliberately choosing to see obstacles as valuable training, you keep hope alive, because each challenge is understood as a purposeful stage in your development rather than a meaningless hindrance. This perspective reframes adversity as an active and essential component of personal progress. It shifts the understanding of difficulty from being an obstacle that stops forward motion to being a vital stage in the process of growth. Each hardship becomes a structured and purposeful opportunity to apply and strengthen specific virtues. Patience is tested and refined when you face delays or the slow unfolding of results. Perseverance is developed in moments where work is long, challenging, and without immediate reward. Courage grows when uncertainty or risk demands that you act despite incomplete information or the possibility of failure. Humility deepens when you encounter your own limitations and accept them as part of the human condition. By approaching challenges with this mindset, you convert every situation, regardless of outcome, into a form of training that sharpens character and sustains hope. Even when events do not unfold in your favor, there is still something permanent to carry forward, tangible evidence of your ability to adapt, endure, and remain aligned with your guiding principles despite external pressures. These accumulated experiences form an internal record of resilience, a living memory that strengthens your confidence in future trials. You begin to trust your capacity to respond well, not because circumstances are easy, but because you have built a consistent pattern of meeting difficulty with stability and intention. To apply this mindset effectively, begin by identifying one specific challenge in your life right now. Select something tangible and relevant, and define in precise terms the exact virtue it calls on you to strengthen. Avoid broad or general descriptions. Clarity is essential. For example, rather than simply writing, "Be better under stress," specify, "Maintaining self-control during heated exchanges with colleagues," or "Sustaining effort over a long project without visible progress," or "Holding composure when facing criticism from someone whose opinion carries weight." The more specific the virtue and context, the easier it is to consciously train for it. Once you have named the virtue, make it a deliberate exercise. Each time the challenge appears, approach it as if you are in a practice session dedicated to building that exact quality. Observe your reactions and note the choices that help you stay aligned with your chosen standard. If you notice moments where you drift from it, record them as learning points, not as failures. These observations will form a clear record of what strengthens your control and what undermines it. Over time, consistent repetition of this process reshapes your instinctive responses. Encounters with difficulty no longer trigger the same levels of resistance, avoidance, or emotional frustration. Instead, you begin to approach them as purposeful training sessions, each with a clear objective. The act of naming and pursuing the virtue transforms the challenge from an external obstacle into an internal exercise. Every recurrence of the challenge becomes a prompt to pause and ask yourself, what skill of the soul can I develop here, and in what specific ways can I refine it today? This single question redirects your energy toward growth and reinforces the habit of responding with intentionality. Through consistent repetition, obstacles lose much of their power to discourage. They are reframed as structured opportunities for personal development. As the practice takes root, resilience becomes more than an occasional response. It becomes an established part of your character. Hope shifts from being dependent on the removal of difficulty to being grounded in the certainty that each difficulty is an opportunity to improve. With this approach, your capacity to face hardship steadily increases, and hope remains strong because it is supported by the daily, lived evidence of your own growth. Chapter 4. Guarding the mind against despair. Despair takes root when thoughts are allowed to develop without awareness or discipline. The Stoics emphasize that your inner dialogue must be managed with the same care you would give to your actions in the world, because your thoughts shape your perception, and perception shapes your response. Marcus Aurelius advised maintaining your mental focus only on what is true and what falls within your control, since attention given to imagined threats or events outside your influence weakens resolve. Guarding the mind begins with a conscious, structured, and disciplined process of examining every negative or unhelpful thought before it is allowed to influence emotions or decisions. This requires intentionally slowing down your response and creating a space between the arrival of the thought and your reaction to it. That space allows for evaluation rather than automatic acceptance. When such a thought appears, treat it as a signal to engage in deliberate questioning. Ask yourself a specific set of grounding questions that anchor your thinking in evidence and reason. Is this statement fully accurate according to verifiable facts? What specific evidence supports it? Am I interpreting events objectively, or am I projecting assumptions and imagined outcomes without certainty? Have I given disproportionate weight to speculation instead of focusing on what is presently known? Is my attention better directed toward an action I can take now that will have a concrete and measurable effect? These questions act as a mental checkpoint, disrupting the automatic momentum of harmful thinking and redirecting mental energy toward perspectives that are realistic, constructive, and grounded in truth. Repeated use of this process steadily limits the influence of unfounded fear, exaggeration, or distorted interpretation. To strengthen this discipline, create a reliable system for immediately capturing and addressing such thoughts as they arise. This can be a small notebook used exclusively for this purpose, or a clearly labeled, easy-to-access section on your phone dedicated to mental reflection. Each time you detect a negative or distorted thought, record it in its exact form without editing or softening the language. This transparency allows you to see your mental patterns as they truly occur. Once documented, write a rational and constructive counterpoint directly beside it. This counterpoint must be grounded in facts, clear reasoning, and elements that fall within your direct control. By placing the two side by side, you make the contrast between reaction and reason visible and tangible, reinforcing your ability to choose the perspective that supports clarity and stability. Set aside time daily or weekly to review these entries in a focused and deliberate manner, treating the review as part of your mental training routine. Look for recurring themes in your negative thinking, note the frequency and intensity of certain thoughts, and identify common triggers that consistently provoke them. Analyze which counterpoints have been the most effective in restoring balance and which ones require refinement. Consider the situations in which your reasoning remained strong and the circumstances in which it weakened. This reflective process not only sharpens your self-awareness, but also builds a personalized set of responses that can be applied quickly and effectively in future situations. Over time, the discipline of observing, recording, and reframing becomes a structured mental exercise that steadily strengthens your ability to remain composed under stress. Your responses grow more measured, proportionate, and intentional, reducing the likelihood that harmful thoughts will take root or influence your actions. By engaging in this consistent practice, you create a mental environment that naturally favors constructive thinking over destructive patterns. As this process becomes second nature, your thoughts align more consistently with stability, accuracy, and hope, and you begin to notice a deeper sense of composure in situations that once caused agitation or doubt. The repetition of these mental exercises reinforces discipline at a fundamental level, creating a strong and lasting layer of defense against despair, confusion, and impulsive decision-making. This layer acts almost like a protective framework, allowing you to assess challenges with a clear mind rather than reacting from fear or habit. Such change is the result of intentional practice, where persistent effort steadily replaces self-defeating mental habits with deliberate, life-supporting ones rooted in reason and clarity. Over weeks and months of dedicated work, your default responses evolve into patterns of thought and action that support measured judgment and inner stability. You will find that clarity and strength are not temporary states, but qualities that remain present even in moments of difficulty, making hope a constant and enduring presence in your mindset rather than a fleeting feeling. Chapter 5. Drawing strength from the present moment. Hope fades when attention is drawn too far into the uncertainty of the future or becomes fixed on events in the past. The Stoics understood that the present moment is the only place where thought and action can directly shape life. They trained themselves to return to it repeatedly, using it as the foundation for judgment, decision-making, and purposeful living. Time spent worrying about what might happen or regretting what has already occurred drains energy, focus, and emotional stability. This loss of energy weakens both your ability to act effectively and the strength of your hope. Living in the present requires treating today's actions as the foundation on which all future progress will rest. Each choice you make, no matter how small it may seem, has an influence on the direction your life will take. By approaching every task, decision, and interaction as an opportunity to reinforce your intended path, you ensure that your actions contribute to stability and forward movement. This perspective fosters a sense of responsibility for the moment at hand, strengthening both your awareness of the present and your connection to your long-term aims. When you are fully engaged with the immediate task in front of you, you feel a sense of progress and control that directly supports hope. Directing your energy toward the present moment allows you to make measurable progress, keep your attention where it is most effective, and avoid wasting mental and emotional resources on areas outside your influence. To cultivate and maintain this focus, integrate grounding techniques into your daily routine so that they become second nature. These techniques should be practical, repeatable, and effective in anchoring your awareness firmly in the present moment. When you notice your mind drifting toward imagined scenarios, replaying old conversations, or constructing outcomes you cannot control, pause immediately. Direct your attention to a simple, physical act, such as controlled breathing. Inhale slowly and deeply, allowing your lungs to fill completely, then exhale in a steady, measured flow. Pay close attention to the rhythm, depth, and sensation of each breath. This conscious act draws your attention inward and stabilizes your awareness. Once your breathing is steady, intentionally engage your senses to re-establish a connection with your immediate environment. Identify 5 distinct objects or details you can see. Look for variation in shape, color, or placement. Then shift to touch, identifying 4 different textures you can feel with your hands or on your skin, noticing the difference between them. Finally, bring your attention to sound, identifying 3 distinct noises in your surroundings, whether near or distant. This multi-sensory process interrupts mental distraction, draws you away from abstract or speculative thought, and firmly grounds you in present reality. To make these techniques effective over the long term, use them regularly, not just during moments of distress. Practice them during routine activities so that the sequence of breathing and sensory engagement becomes automatic. The more you repeat this process, the more quickly you will be able to recognize when your mind is drifting and bring it back with minimal effort. With consistent use, grounding stops being a temporary corrective measure and becomes a trained mental reflex. You will detect early signs of unproductive thinking, such as shallow breathing, scattered focus, or restless movement, before they gain momentum. When you act on these cues immediately, you reinforce your ability to control your focus under both ordinary and high-pressure conditions. Over time, this discipline of presence strengthens your capacity for deliberate action, clear decision-making, and steady composure. It also deepens the durability of your hope. Hope becomes less dependent on changing circumstances and more connected to your demonstrated ability to remain fully engaged in the present. Through daily practice, you create a stable mental environment where attention, intention, and stability reinforce one another, ensuring that hope is not a passing feeling, but a consistent quality of character. Chapter 6. Accepting change without losing direction. Change is a constant in life, and the Stoics regarded it as an essential element of the natural order, something woven into the fabric of existence itself. To resist it entirely is to struggle against reality, creating unnecessary tension and frustration. Hope often weakens when change disrupts familiar patterns or forces you into situations you did not choose or anticipate. It can feel as though stability has been removed, leaving uncertainty in its place. The Stoic approach is to adapt deliberately, maintaining your principles, composure, and sense of purpose so that you respond to change with direction rather than drifting aimlessly. Accepting change begins with a clear and deliberate understanding that external events, whether they come suddenly in a single moment or unfold gradually over time, will often fall outside the reach of your direct influence. Life will continue to move forward, shifting and reshaping, whether or not it aligns with your preferences. No amount of resistance can halt that progression. The priority, therefore, is to concentrate on the areas where your deliberate actions and informed decisions can create measurable results. Establishing and maintaining a clear boundary between what is within your control and what is not allows you to protect your physical energy and mental focus from being drained by unproductive struggles. This clarity also keeps your attention from becoming scattered, enabling you to direct consistent, meaningful effort toward constructive action even when your surroundings feel uncertain or unstable. To apply this principle in a practical and repeatable way, create a structured method for evaluating any significant change you encounter. Begin by recording the event or shift in objective, factual terms without adding judgment, assumptions, or emotional interpretation. After clearly describing the change, list all of its possible effects on your life, both those you immediately perceive as beneficial and those that may appear to be disadvantages or challenges. Once the list is complete, divide these effects into two distinct categories: those you can directly influence and those you cannot. For each item that falls within your control, outline a small, specific, and actionable plan with steps you can begin right away, focusing on actions that are concrete and measurable. For the items beyond your influence, make an intentional choice to release them from your ongoing mental focus. This is not an act of neglect, but an exercise in disciplined attention management, ensuring that your time and energy remain devoted to areas where they can produce real outcomes. As you repeat this process across different types of change, whether personal, professional, or environmental, you will notice a shift in how you approach uncertainty. You will begin to regard change as an inevitable part of the terrain you navigate, rather than as an obstacle that threatens to displace you from your path. This approach strengthens adaptability by reinforcing your ability to act decisively in areas that matter while maintaining composure in the face of factors you cannot alter. Over time, this mindset builds resilience, allowing you to treat uncertainty as a space in which your judgment, discipline, and principles can operate at full capacity. Hope remains strong in this framework because it is no longer tied to the stability of external conditions. Instead, it rests on your demonstrated ability to adjust with purpose and clarity while holding fast to the values that define you. Each successful adaptation strengthens your trust in your capacity to face the future with steadiness, no matter how unpredictable it may be. Chapter 7: Building Endurance Through Small Wins. Endurance is not developed only through rare, monumental trials that demand extraordinary effort. It is strengthened and maintained through the steady, deliberate practice of meeting smaller challenges on a consistent basis. The Stoics understood that resilience is built in layers, formed over time through repetition and the gradual accumulation of disciplined effort. They valued progress that was steady and reliable, recognizing that strength of character comes from consistent engagement with tasks that test and stretch your limits. Every completed effort, no matter how small, becomes part of a growing record of reliability, reinforcing your belief that you can persist through larger and more demanding situations in the future. A small win is any deliberate and intentional action that moves you forward toward your objectives or reinforces the principles you have committed to living by. While these actions may appear modest in scope, their significance lies in the momentum they generate and the habits they strengthen. They could include maintaining composure in a tense or frustrating exchange, completing a repetitive or challenging task despite feeling a lack of motivation, resisting the pull of an unhelpful impulse, or dedicating uninterrupted time for focused reflection after a demanding day. Each time you follow through on these actions, you prove to yourself that you are capable of honoring your commitments regardless of circumstances. This repeated demonstration of reliability builds a steady foundation of trust in your own ability to persevere through more demanding challenges in the future. To actively cultivate endurance through small wins, identify a set of daily actions that are both achievable and meaningful. Choose actions that align directly with your personal values and your long-term priorities, ensuring they serve both your immediate progress and your broader purpose. Keep a dedicated journal or tracking system where you record each action, noting not only its completion, but also the mental and emotional state you experienced while carrying it out. Were you calm and methodical, distracted but committed, feeling pressured yet maintaining steadiness? These observations provide valuable insight into your resilience and reveal the conditions in which you perform at your strongest. In addition to tracking completion, periodically review your records to identify patterns. Notice when your consistency is highest, the triggers that make certain tasks more difficult, and the strategies that help you remain on track. Use these insights to adjust your daily approach, strengthening areas where you are already effective and addressing situations where you are more likely to waver. Over time, this process of observation, adjustment, and reinforcement deepens your endurance, making it less dependent on ideal conditions and more rooted in deliberate discipline. The accumulation of these small wins produces far more than gradual progress. It reshapes your perception of who you are and what you are capable of achieving. Each recorded instance of consistent follow-through serves as undeniable proof of discipline, integrity, and sustained effort. This is not just an abstract sense of accomplishment, but a concrete, visible record that you can hold in your hands or review at any time. Over weeks, months, and years, these entries become a map of your persistence, illustrating that you have faced challenges repeatedly and chosen to meet them with action rather than avoidance. The presence of such a record changes the way you think about yourself, shifting your self-image from someone who hopes to persevere into someone who has already demonstrated that ability many times over. This documentation becomes more than motivational. It serves as evidence-based reinforcement during difficult times. When a significant trial appears, you can look back on these daily victories and see patterns of resilience already embedded in your behavior. You are reminded that strength is not an isolated event, but a habit you have cultivated through countless deliberate choices. Each small win from the past becomes a supportive voice, affirming that you have been here before in different forms, and you have emerged with clarity and persistence intact. This reduces hesitation, replacing it with quiet certainty that you can handle what lies ahead. The process of accumulating and reviewing these small wins develops into a self-sustaining cycle. The more you record and acknowledge these victories, the more confident you become in your ability to face future obstacles. That confidence, in turn, encourages you to maintain the habits that create small wins in the first place, reinforcing the stability of your progress. When larger trials inevitably arise, the confidence drawn from this history is steady and grounded. not based on hope alone, but on proven experience. It becomes a reliable anchor, reminding you that challenges can be met with discipline, patience, and clarity, no matter their size or complexity. Chapter 8. Maintaining perspective in difficult times. Perspective shapes the way you interpret and respond to adversity, acting as the lens through which you judge events and their impact on your life. The Stoics placed great importance on training the mind to see challenges within the broad context of an entire life, rather than as isolated events that define it. This wider frame of reference reduces the risk of being consumed by immediate difficulties and helps prevent short-term setbacks from overshadowing the many possibilities that remain open to you. By maintaining perspective, you can look past the narrow boundaries of the present moment, remembering that circumstances are not fixed and that change is an inevitable feature of life's rhythm. Developing and protecting perspective requires intentional practice, especially during moments when emotions are most intense and immediate reactions are likely to take over. It means creating enough mental and emotional distance to evaluate a situation with accuracy, rather than letting urgency or frustration dictate your response. This distance is not avoidance, but a purposeful pause that allows you to assess the facts and place them within a wider frame of reference. One effective approach is to ask targeted, grounding questions that help you look beyond the current moment. How will I view this event when more time has passed? Whether weeks, months, or even years? What skills, insights, or strengths might I gain from navigating it? In what specific ways have past challenges prepared me to handle this one more effectively? These questions shift the mind's focus from immediate discomfort toward possible growth, learning, and the recognition that most difficulties are temporary. To strengthen this ability in a consistent and measurable way, it is useful to adopt a structured method, such as maintaining a perspective log. This is a designated space, whether in a dedicated notebook, journal, or a secure digital document, where you commit to recording your experience of challenges in 2 deliberate stages. The first stage is to write down your initial, unfiltered thoughts and emotions exactly as they arise. Capture the raw details without attempting to organize, justify, or censor them. This step serves as a snapshot of your immediate perspective, providing insight into your instinctive responses and the emotional weight you assign to events in the moment. The second stage involves deliberately reframing the situation in a way that highlights its broader meaning and potential value. Look for specific lessons the situation may be offering, identify possible long-term benefits that could emerge from it, and note any aspects that prompt gratitude despite the discomfort. This could include lessons about patience, skills in problem-solving, or an opportunity to develop greater emotional stability. This reframing does not erase the reality of the challenge, but places it in a context that emphasizes growth and the possibility of future advantages. Over time, this disciplined habit shifts your natural tendency towards seeing events through a more constructive and informed lens. Regularly reviewing your perspective log allows you to observe recurring patterns in your thinking. You may notice that your initial reactions, which may have felt absolute or final at the time, often give way to calmer, more proportionate evaluations once time and reflection have passed. You will also begin to see repeated evidence of your capacity to adapt, recover, and move forward from situations that previously seemed insurmountable. This review process becomes a practical and visible reminder that you have faced difficulties before and emerged stronger, and it reinforces your belief that you can do so again. As these entries accumulate, they become more than a record of past challenges. They serve as concrete proof of your progress in emotional resilience, mental discipline, and consistent self-reflection. They validate your ability to maintain clarity under pressure and to return to a balanced perspective, even when events initially disrupt your stability. This collection of experiences builds a form of hope that is steady and reliable, one grounded in evidence from your own life rather than abstract optimism. It confirms that perspective is not fixed, but can be actively developed and protected, ensuring that no matter the nature of the challenges ahead, you have the tools to meet them with clarity and strength. Chapter 9. Strengthening Hope Through Service. The Stoics recognized that hope is not only sustained through personal discipline and resilience, but can also be reinforced through deliberate contributions to the well-being of others. When you extend effort towards supporting another person, you strengthen bonds within your community and affirm that your actions carry weight beyond your own interests. This outward focus creates a sense of shared purpose and mutual reliance, both of which can stabilize your own mindset in difficult periods. Service also redirects attention away from your personal difficulties, allowing you to view challenges from a broader and often more balanced perspective. Acts of service do not have to take the form of large, dramatic commitments to be meaningful. They can be woven into daily life through small but intentional actions, offering thoughtful guidance to someone facing a problem, listening with full attention when another person speaks, or lending practical help where it is needed. Even simple acts, when carried out consistently and with sincerity, become tangible evidence that you are capable of generating positive change in the lives of others. Each time you take such action, you reinforce the understanding that value is measured not only by personal achievements, but also by the quality of your contribution to the people and environment around you. To integrate this practice into your life with intention, identify at least one specific way each week to meaningfully contribute to another person's well-being. This could involve reaching out to a friend who is going through a difficult time, volunteering a small amount of your time to assist with a community need, sharing resources or knowledge that could help someone advance toward their goals, or simply showing up with reliability when someone is counting on you. Maintain a brief record of these actions in a journal, noting both what you did and how it influenced your outlook afterward. Over time, you will begin to see a clear connection between consistent service and a strengthened sense of hope. The record of your contributions becomes proof that even in periods of uncertainty, you retain the ability to act with purpose and impact. This reinforces the belief that your presence matters, that you have a role in the stability and well-being of others, and that positive action, no matter how small, creates ripples that extend far beyond the moment. By consistently practicing service, you build a form of hope that is active, resilient, and supported by lived experience. Chapter 10. Creating a long-term vision. A clear vision for the future gives your life a defined sense of direction and acts as a stabilizing force for hope, even during periods of difficulty or uncertainty. The Stoics understood that vision was not about predicting the exact details of what would happen, but about committing to a deliberate way of living that reflected their principles. This approach meant that the vision could withstand unexpected events or changes in circumstances without losing its guiding influence. When your vision is built on values rather than on fixed outcomes, it retains its power to lead you forward regardless of the obstacles you encounter. Creating a long-term vision begins with identifying, in detail, the values that are most important to you. Qualities such as integrity, courage, self-discipline, justice, or service. Once you have clarified these core values, translate them into clear goals that give them practical expression. These goals should not remain abstract ideals. They should take the form of actions, habits, and achievements that reflect what you stand for. To make progress measurable and achievable, divide these larger goals into smaller, specific steps. This breakdown not only makes each stage manageable, but also provides regular opportunities to confirm that you are moving in the right direction. Maintaining momentum in pursuit of your vision requires a deliberate and consistent process of revisiting it. This can be done through scheduled reflection sessions at the beginning of each week or month, during which you assess your recent progress, evaluate the effectiveness of your actions, and determine what adjustments need to be made. These sessions are not only about identifying what is working, but also about noticing areas where your approach may need refinement. By making reflection a regular practice, you prevent your vision from becoming distant or disconnected from your current reality. As you continue to grow, both your perspective and your understanding of your values are likely to evolve. Experiences will clarify which principles are most important to you, and changing circumstances may shift the conditions in which you are working toward your goals. For this reason, your vision must remain adaptable while still anchored in its original principles. This means being open to redefining your goals, adjusting your timelines, or reshaping your methods while staying committed to the underlying values that give your vision meaning. Adaptability keeps your vision relevant and ensures it continues to motivate action rather than becoming a rigid plan that no longer serves you. Integrating your vision into daily life involves using it as the primary guide for decision-making and action-taking. Each choice you make, from the smallest task to major commitments, can be measured against whether it aligns with your long-term direction. This ongoing alignment transforms your vision from an abstract idea into a practical framework that influences your habits, shapes your priorities, and informs your responses to challenges. Over time, this repeated alignment builds a sense of consistency between your intentions and your actions. This consistent connection between what you believe in and what you do creates a dependable sense of purpose. Purpose provides a deeper source of motivation than passing emotions or temporary conditions, allowing you to continue moving forward even in periods when enthusiasm is low or challenges are high. Hope, in this context, becomes a product of deliberate, value-driven action. It is not subject to sudden collapse because it is grounded in a path you have chosen with clarity and reinforced through ongoing intentional effort. This stable foundation allows you to face both achievements and setbacks with the assurance that your actions are part of a meaningful and enduring pursuit.